Hello, my little YouTube family, and especially Francesco, my devoted fan. This is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson, and I'm very excited because I want to share with you something that I feel is kind of not only unique, but also something that will just make learning piano and much easier. So now that it's the fall and people are back at school and we're all learning our scales and arpeggios and sweating bullets. Remember back in the day, I had to do them like 4 octaves up and down the keyboard, both hands in parallel, and that's pretty hard stuff. And it can be kind of overwhelming. And, you know, I don't think I'd have the energy anymore to even do it myself by sort of sheer force of will. And so what I'd like to do is share some insights about piano fingering. And of course, I want to do it in context, in a musical context. It's always important to do technical things in a musical context. And conversely, musical things do require a certain amount of technique, quote unquote, and the mechanics of how we translate that onto our crazy little machines here we call the piano. But people who've been watching me for a while know that I love to talk about tetrachords. I love to talk about four-note groups, these four-note groups, because it's kind of the sweet spot of learning and understanding music, being able to play, and also being able to understand music theory and all of these things. So I will just dive right in and show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, so here we have our wonderful C major scale, and there's the fingering we typically use. You always see people using 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And they learn 8 notes at a time, which I think is too hard. And the whole thing about playing the scale again is you have to cross the thumb under the hand to fool people into thinking that you have more fingers than you really do. And of course, coming down, right, you have to cross over, right? That's the other aspect of it. So I think it's better to take, first of all, just to break it down into 4 notes, these 4-note groups, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Break it down into these 4-note groups we call our tetrachords. That's our major tetrachord. And the first group would be 1, 2, 3, 1. That's that cross there, okay? 1, 2, 3, 1. Right? Or instead of doing this, and by the way, when you get that thumb under, it's good to kind of blanket your hands over the keys that you're going to need to play in advance, so you're there before you need to. That's one of the secrets of playing fast, is to be over the key before you really need it. But you don't necessarily you don't have to do that. You could keep these 2 fingers over these keys if you're just doing this group of notes. But this group, this major tetrachord, right? There are instances where you'd use different fingers. Well, what would those instances be? Well, for the last 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2, 3, 4, 1, if you're going up another octave. 2, 3, 4, 5 if you're ending, or 2, 3, 4, 1 if you're going up another octave. You're crossing under there. Well, what's to stop you from taking any of these fingerings and applying them here? 2, 3, 4, 5, or 2, 3, 4, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 1, right? And that's the basic premise that I want to show you, is to take a group of 4 notes, familiarize yourself with them, but then learn to play that group with different fingers so that you develop a certain amount of flexibility. Because here's the problem. No matter how great you get with your scales, once you get into the real world, things don't quite work out that way. And conversely, things do work out that way. just not quite in the way that you had hoped. So in other words, you will encounter major tetrachords, but not necessarily with that fingering. Here's another fingering. Okay, so usually for white keys, right? You typically hear about people starting with the thumb, all right? But what if I want to do the D flat or the C sharp scale? I'm probably not going to start with 1. I can. It's not the worst thing in the world, and actually it's not so bad to practice that. Right? The story is that Rachmaninoff played all his scales with the same fingers because he had very long thumbs. All right? I don't know if that's quite true, but it sounds like a good myth to believe in. Anyway, usually for black keys, we're not starting with the thumb. So these fingers go with these keys here. Usually when you're starting a major scale, an ascending scale, 2 is associated with D flat, just like here, 3, and then 4. All right? That's how you kind of remember what fingers to start with, and then the moment you use your thumb, well then you use it on the white keys, okay? So typically we'd go 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So your thumbs are on white keys. By the way, here's an opposite way of learning a scale. If you know that you're only going that, if you know that the entire scale is all black keys, in this instance, by the way, there's 3 scales that use all black keys. The D flat or C sharp, the F sharp or the G flat, those are the enharmonic spellings, or the B major or C flat. And C flat is a key. You're not going to see it as a pianist, but you will see it if you play harp. But in any event, those 3 scales use all the black keys on the keyboard, with the exception of what? 2 white keys. It's the white keys that are the distinctions. So guess what? You only have to learn 2 white notes, right? Because all the others are the black keys, right? And those keys are going to be played with the thumb. So that's kind of the opposite way of looking at it. But what's to stop you from using that fingering on the grouping that we just discussed, the C major grouping? So 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1. Excuse me, 2, 3, 1, 2. Right. So there's another grouping, even though again we would 2, 3, 1. Should I do that? No, let's do this. Is that? Let's do this. Let's C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, and again C sharp. Remember, C sharp has all the sharps, 7 sharps. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, and B sharp. Where's B sharp? B sharp. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 sharps. 7 sharps. That's the key of C sharp, right? Quick way to remember the C's: C sharp, C flat, C natural. C has no sharps or flats. C sharp has all the sharps. C flat has all the flats, 7 flats. Why you can have as much as 7 flats, not more than 7 flats. You can have less than 7 flats, but not more, because there's 7 letters in the musical alphabet: A, B, C, D, E, F, G. All right, back to our story. So you can usually go 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 2, sorry, 3, 1, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now, do I have to start with, excuse me, do I have to end on 2? Well, no, I could end on 3 if I wanted, or 4, but if I'm going up another octave, it makes sense to get in a good habit of, starting and ending on those fingers that, those, what I call the corresponding fingers. And here's a great way to practice a scale that seems hard for you. So if you think that scale's hard, well, just do one finger. I mean, you know, C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, C sharp, C. That's your 4-octave scale. D sharp, and keep the thumb under the hand. C, a D sharp, thumb, second finger, F sharp, third finger, G sharp. See what I'm doing? Fourth finger, A sharp. Good. Thumb. And you're back to 2. Right? Now, there is an advantage to practicing that way. It's not a silly way to practice, but it is a way to make the scale more manageable so you digest it, you know, so you don't have to just play over and over and over again all the way, you know, up and down and up and down and up and down and hope you remember that fingering, right? You know, but what you're doing is you're practicing this lateral motion, right? The tendency when people play the keyboard, because the keys move up and down, they move up and down, and you have to resist that temptation. You have to keep your weight, distribute your weight evenly, like you're kind of, you know, painting, right? And then you sort of toss the fingers at the keyboard, so that kind of comes out kind of like, you know, more like this. I mean, there should be no difference between this and this. I mean, that's fingered, right? I mean, that's a good test to see if you're kind of, you know, playing all right. You try to form a concept of tone, and the tone also being associated with the phrasing. So in this instance, we're using a legato, a leggero maybe, but you know, you have this concept of tone, and then you formulate the technique around the tone, as opposed to just flailing away at the keys, hoping for the best, and then maybe something will come out of that. Now, let's face it, you know, especially when you're just starting, you do whatever you have to do to play the notes, okay? Because it's hard, right? But over time, that was one of the great advantages I had as a student, and really something that you cannot get on YouTube, no matter how hard you try. You might, in a way, be able to get it with some recordings, maybe, but not really. The thing you can't get is really to develop a concept of tone. For that, you have to actually physically sit next to a human being. And I had the great fortune of doing that with some really great pianists. And I was so moved by their tone that it helped me to learn. And that is one of the comments that people make when I play, which I'm very pleased about. And I don't necessarily take credit for it, because I wouldn't have that tone had I not had my teachers to inculcate that, you know, in me. But but practicing that lateral motion, so that you also learn to move quickly, right? Move the weight quickly laterally, and get over the keys that you need before you need them. If you start doing this sort of stuff and shoving your arm down into the keyboard, that's going to get you stuck in the mud. You know, I kind of tell people that, you know, there's more than one right way to play the piano, but I think there's definitely one wrong way. And the one wrong way is to physically force your arm down into the key bed, or your finger to kind of force it down and it just kind of gets stuck. And also, it's not a very attractive tone. It tends to be overly percussive and traumatic for your hands. So so there's another set of fingering for our collection here. So we're collecting fingering. 2 3 1 2. 2 3 1 2. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. That's another thing. And then what did we have before? Well, we had 1, 2. Right, you can't see that, can you? Before we had, you could do it on these black keys, right? But before we had 1, 2, 3, 1. That was our cross. 1, 2, 3, 1. That's more typical of that scale. Or we had 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We had that. Or we had 2, 3, 4, 1. Again, that's our cross. Different than these. Here's another one. Here's another one that starts on the second finger. 2, 3, 4, 1. Right? 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, 1, 2. That's our 2, 3, 1, 2. Right? Here's another one for third finger. 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. It's like a phone number. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you might say, oh, that's hard to remember. I can't remember that. That's E flat, by the way. There's no such thing as the key of D sharp major. The reason being is that if you were to write the key signature, you need to use a double sharp. I'm not going to get into that. Double sharps exist. There's nothing wrong with them. They're perfectly fine, but we don't use them in key signatures. So that's why there's no key of D sharp. There's a key of E flat. There's a key of A flat major. There's a key of B flat major. There's the sharp equivalents don't exist as major keys. Minor keys, yes, but not major. Now, here's a trick to remember fingering again, all right? The fingering groups are different, right, than the tetrachord groups. The tetrachord groups are always the same. That's why I like talking about tetrachords, because that's the musical aspect. They're always groups of fours. But the fingering, the aspect of when you cross the thumb under, that changes, right? So that can appear differently. White key scales typically C major, G major, D major, A major, E major, B major. Group of 3 notes plus a group of 4 notes. Remember, what's 3 and 4? 7. 7 letters in the musical alphabet. That's how you remember. Now, what's the exception to that? The exception is F, and F major is the opposite. 4 plus 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you cross the thumb under. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And then you end with a different finger. You end it with 4, not 5. I think these are the rules. These are the things that if you open a typical scale book, these are the things you'll find. But as you can see, it's not the only possibility in the real world. In a real world musical situation, that's not necessarily going to happen. It might be your go-to, your first choice, but maybe not. So 3 plus 4, 4 plus 3. But now, if you start with the third finger on E flat, you're 3, 1, 2, that's the group of 3 notes. 3, 1, 2, so yeah, what did I do? 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You're always going to end with the same finger that you start with. Right, so that'll help you. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Do we write 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2? Yeah, what did I write? 3, 1, 2, 3. And then 4, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. I don't know why I wrote that. 3, 4, 1, 2. Here. That's it. 3, 4, 1, 2. A flat. 3, 4, 1, 2. 3, 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3. There's our group there. 3, 1, all right. 3, 4, 1, 2. That's A flat. I played a wrong note. And B flat, fourth finger. 4, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2, 3. Did we have that before? No, but we do now, right? This is a 2. 4, 1, 2, 3 for B flat. 4, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we had a 1, 2, 3, 4 earlier. Did I write it down? Did I write it down? No, I didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's B flat. That's our tetrachord group. Now, do I have to start with 4? No, I don't. I could start with 3. I could start with 2. And that might be all well and good, but the problem is that, again, if I want to play the scale more than 1 octave, I'm going to run into problems, because if I descend and end on 2, I'm going to run out of fingers. Likewise with 3, I have to anticipate 4. Right, I have to get that 4th finger. So practicing the scale: 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's not so easy to do, but getting the moment you play the B flat, you're already over the next octave. You're moving horizontally. You're not doing this and then doing this. If you do that, you'll never be able to play the piano. See, I don't do this and then do that, right? It's right. It's that idea, all right? And then you just do groups of 2 notes. 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. Groups of just 2 notes, right? Thumb is always going to play the first white key you get. Now, as you do that exercise, right, I think you can manage to play 2 notes. It's not overwhelming. And if you can play 2 notes, well, then that opens up an opportunity to practice that grouping throughout the keyboard. And you start, with 2 octaves, and then 3, and then 4. 4 is a good idea. 4 is a safe number. And here's another aspect. So remember I said when you're doing these exercises, you want to do them in a musical context. So what would be a musical context? Well, probably very, very common way to slur is a slur, long, short. Connecting 2 notes, long, short, long, short, long, short. And when you play the short, you accent the short note. Why would you accent the short note? Well, because if the note is shorter, it's going to be perceived as softer because there's less of it. So it's a good idea to emphasize it somewhat, not exaggerate necessarily, but I say necessarily because, again, it depends on your tempo and the context, but it's not a bad idea to emphasize the short note somewhat. Otherwise, it's going to sound uneven and that note's going to get swallowed. But when you're playing staccato, or when you're playing slurs on the keyboard, right, moving from the elbow, right, using the weight of the arm, dropping in, drop, and lift. Drop, lift, drop, lift, drop, lift, drop, lift, drop, lift. And when I lift, I'm pulling with the finger. And when I drop, I like to, kind of like I'm landing a plane, I like to drop that weight in so the weight is just a bit diffuse. You could do it chromatically, if you want. You could do that all over. But after a while, your arm starts to sort of vibrate on its own. You don't even do this consciously. and you can get the you know. I imagine, and because I don't play the violin, but I imagine, you know, there's equivalent to bowing, right, or equivalent to playing a brass instrument, tonguing, right, all of those things. Those are kinds of things that pianists tend not to learn in the beginning. We just play a bunch of keys, you know. But that's something that helps to make sense of the music. And not just 2-note groupings, you know, 3-note groupings, right, or 4. But those are certain things that keep the exercise interesting and helps you to develop certain muscle groups. It's a bit like choreography, you know. It's a bit like kind of like dancing. So think about all the different fingerings now we've thought of just for this one tetrachord group. Now there's, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tetrachord groups, right? There's 12 tetrachord groups. You can use these groupings of fingerings on any of those groups. But if I just use the white key grouping, 1, 2, 3, 1. Now, these probably wouldn't be my first choice, especially that one. That's awkward. But it kind of keeps your hand limber, and then, I don't know, pick another group. That was 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the first one I recommend starting with. This is all chromatic. What other one should we do that's not the thumb? We did 2, 3, 4, 5. We did 2, 3, 4, 5. We did 1, 2, 3, 1. Of course, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. I prefer this over this because this is more comfortable in the hand. The hand is balanced a little bit better, you know, with the thumb under. But 2, 3, 1, 2. 2, 3, 1, 2. 2, 3, 1, 2. 2, 3, 1, 2. That 2. What did I do? 2, 3, 1, 2. That's odd. 2, 3, 1, 2. I don't know if I'd ever want to do that necessarily. That's kind of odd. 2, 3, 1, 2. That's also strange. So as you explore this, as you explore that idea, you'll start to realize the value of fingering, because some of those fingerings will be wrong or feel wrong. Although, again, you can make them work and then they'll feel right. You know, you might want that fingering for a certain sound on the keyboard, or again, for a certain situation, but you come to appreciate the reasoning behind certain fingerings. All right, that's it. We've run out of time, but once again, I've enjoyed my time with you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. This is Jonathan, Piano Lesson, signing off. Until next time, have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.